Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select Project Me Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectMeWithTiffany. Welcome to the podcast and posse, Project Me with Tiffany Carter. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today we are going to talk about building a community that's filled with raving fans, that's highly engaged, and you can like ditch those ghost town communities that I know so many of you created. Like, let's be real. How many of you have like dead end Facebook pages, maybe even Instagram pages, even YouTube channels where there's not much going on and you made the pretty graphics, you even show up there live and still not much is going on and you're certainly not making much money at it? Well, I brought on today a friend of mine, someone who's actually also on the ProjectME team, to share what she does in building these communities. She is truly a master at it. None of her stuff is basic, so I know that's one of her tricks. It's Samantha Parker. She's the founder of the Girl Squad. So the Girl Squad is a high vibe community for women who want to be their own girl crush. They want to love themselves more, but they need the support and want the support and the accountability of other people in a tribe to raise their vibe. Oh shit, that rhymes. I like that. You have to love yourself before we can serve others. And that's Samantha's premise behind the Girl Squad. But we're going to get into some tangible stuff here too, because I know you guys really want to serve at your greatest good and you love community and want to build these great communities, and something's just not translating even though your heart's in the right place. So Samantha's going to teach you that shit today. What's up, girl?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. I got like giddy all of a sudden and I was like, hoo, we're doing it.
We're doing it. And I have to say this for our loyal, listeners. First off, shout out to you guys who remember Samantha from being on the show earlier on. I don't know if it was early 2019, end of 2018. I'm not sure which, but this is her first time on the show solo. And I do want to address this at first, if you're comfortable doing it, in that you made a really big pivot in 2019, right?
I did. 2019 has been a whirlwind. And when I was originally on your show, it was with my then business partner, and we had Badassery magazine. And when I met you, that's what I was doing, was building that brand.
And so for people who are not sure if they should pivot because what they're doing isn't working or doesn't feel good, or if they need to keep going, do you have like any quick like indicators that like, listen, you need to like rip off the Band-Aid and pivot? Like, are there any strong indicators? Because, hindsight's 2020 looking back.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many indicators and we tend to ignore them, right? So my number one indicator is my mental health. And so when I notice that my mental health starts to decline, like I fall into like a depression swing, I start hating my life. I go pretty dark. So I even go into the suicidal realm of suicidal thoughts, and I don't want to live on this earth anymore. And so for me, that's when I know I need to make a change. And while that can be a pretty big pivot, you'll have smaller ones, right? So I knew I needed to leave the badassery space when I realized I had gained a ton of weight, right? I wasn't enjoying life the way that I wanted to enjoy it, and different things like that were happening. So if you'll look at like, not just the business numbers even, but even like the indicators that are happening in your body, if that's like actual physical weight or if that's your mental health, that's always a great sign.
I love that. And I second that. And I love that you said it's not even about like the bank or, the number of followers or sales, because you guys, when I truly had a full suicide plan 5.5 years ago, at that point, I had between 2 million and 2.5 million in the bank. And I still have that other company. It's my 7-figure business. It didn't matter to me because I wasn't fulfilled. I was doing tons and tons and tons of things that didn't light me up and didn't feel good. And like you, Sam, I go to suicidal ideation. Now, where I'm at right now, and I don't know if you're at this point too, I don't believe I would ever act on it. It's more so the ideation is the clinical term where I start having those kind of thoughts. Is that how it is for you too?
Yeah, it is. And it's like, well, this is how I could do it. Or like, sometimes it's just even like, I don't want to be here. What's the point of this? And it's like, maybe I'm mad at God or the universe or source, however you identify, but I'm just like, what's the point of this? There's no point to any of this. And I can't find the joy in just the everyday magic.
That's really well said. I do have to say this in responsibility. If anyone who's listening right now is in that zone, I highly recommend like reaching out to a professional or calling the suicide hotline. Of course, you can reach out to Samantha or myself for support, but obviously we're not medical professionals. Samantha's Instagram is at the Samantha Parker, and mine at ProjectME with Tiffany. And you're like, girl, I thought this was going to be about community, and you're talking about suicide. But you know what? This is real shit here. And the transition into talking about community and why I truly believe Samantha has mastered that is because she talks about all the things. Would you say that's one of the reasons why your community is like obsessed with you?
Oh, absolutely. I talk about the messy things like, hey guys, I just decided to end my business partnership. Like I've been crying for 5 days and I couldn't get out of bed, and I just openly talked about it. Or like, hey guys, I found this really great list of ways to ask for help if you're suicidal. And I found this list because I was looking for help, and the more authentic I am with the messy journey and not just this whole like Instagram perfect like spreadsheet, the better my community connects to me, because the whole reason I share my stories in the way that I do is to help other people. So I know if people can see like, hey, I'm not alone. Like this girl from Utah, like I just live in a small town, Utah, right? She went through this and they're like, oh my God, like she did it. She pulled herself out. Here's how she's doing it. Then they can take those same applications and apply them to their life. Instead of me always trying to be like this perfect like person up on a pedestal who seems untouchable.
And you guys know I hate that shit. That's why I jumped in to the business coaching, the whole online personal branding space. It certainly wasn't for money. I didn't need to do it for that, but my soul had to do it because I was so fucking sick of watching people doing the Bali and butterflies thing and making it look like it was just effortless and easy and everything I touch turns to gold. And when I do have a bad day, like I'm struggling, but it was just for, just yesterday and I took a digital detox and now I'm great again. And it's like, no, that is not how that shit looks, does it, Sam?
No, I love the look on your face. I'm like, and now I'm fabulous.
Exactly. And it only lasted a day or I got off social media for 2 days and, now I have a completely different outlook and I'm re-inspired. I'm like, fuck, I want whatever drugs you've got.
Exactly. I've just been super honest about it, and I've taught people what has worked for me, and so that I'm still able to teach my community in a way that cultivates like that growth and that learning, so that people are still in my community to like, get something. And I don't necessarily mean get something, but like feel something, like feel the vibration or feel the love or whatever cheesy thing you want to insert there. But when we can all just open up and share, it really shifts the entire world.
I can tell you that is what makes me keep going in business and in life, is not just me, myself, and I. That's dangerous as hell. It's relationships I have, and it's a sense of belonging and that I'm not alone. So what is it that you feel, and I'm sure it's not just one thing, so share all the things, but what is it about building a community that you feel yours has grown into one that is highly engaged? I mean, she has a fantastic Facebook group, and you guys know how I feel about free Facebook groups. Like, there's so many and I can't handle it, but the one that I for sure participate in, and I actually get excited to see what's posted and like even jump in on the conversation, even if I'm busy, is Samantha's. It's true. I mean, I do post in your group, right?
Yeah, you do. Absolutely.
What is it about what you've done there that has translated into a highly engaged group?
Again, I think it just goes back to authenticity and then also being very patient. But really what keeps the groups engaged is your ability to show up every single day. Like, that is the most important thing you can do. And yeah, I get like, maybe I didn't show up Sunday, or maybe I didn't show up that one Thursday, I got really busy. But for the most part, like showing up every single day and making sure that you don't always make it about you, right? You're asking questions and you actually just give a damn. That's really what kind of changes like the factor. You'll go into a lot of Facebook groups and it'll be about I'm just going to call them like the leader or the creator. Maybe it's like their own little personal land and they create it, right? But they kind of turn into like a monarch and they're like, it's about me. You have no opinion. You don't get to say anything. And that right off the bat never feels good to people. They want to be able to speak up. They want to feel invited to speak up. And so I think that's one of the biggest differences, is making sure that you're more of like on a community panel type of thing. And maybe you're just the spokesperson for it, versus being like the monarch who is like, shut up. It's not about anyone else except for me.
I love that. So you're the moderator more than you are like the dictator or, this is the way. I like that, because that's really what a community is where everyone has an equal say, right?
Exactly. And some people too, they'll almost go the opposite, where they feel like they just have to show up and give and give and give, and they'll give all these trainings, all this free stuff. And I did that and it just like burned me so hard. Like, I was fed up with the group. I was like, they just want my free stuff and they just take. And then I was like, wait a second, there's a better way to do this. So you have to cultivate the atmosphere in your community. You don't have to overgive. And then you also don't want to just be like, it's my way or the highway.
When you transitioned from overgiving, and that's so funny, I'm an overgiver that I have to manage that myself. And I always say like attracts like. I mean, almost everyone I've worked with and anyone who's on my team is an overgiver as well. And it comes from a good place. It also comes from a scarcity mentality, right? Like, in order for me to develop the best community and the most engaged and people to feel this is so high value, I have to like give this thing and that thing and the other thing. What made you transition that into something different that felt better to you?
Well, so after the fall of Badassery magazine,
the fall, I love it. It's like the dynasty
and the rise of Samantha Parker. No. I realized that I kind of went through a period where I felt like I almost couldn't show up because I didn't feel like I had anything to give anyone anymore. And so honestly, what that came back to was, right, my own self-worth. And like you say, self-worth equals net worth. And so what I had to do to actually transition was I had to do a shitload of mindset work. And I had to realize that I still had a ton of value to offer this world. And that even if I was choosing to pivot directions, like, people will come with me or they'll leave. And of course I think I had like 100 people leave the group when I shifted directions, but I've had a bunch more join. It's not a big deal. But I just had to decide within myself that like it was okay and that I was here and I had value to give the world.
Which you very much do. I mean, in so many different ways. I call her like, I don't know if I coined the term or I took your own term from you and I think it's mine, but I'm like, I need you to glitterize this for me.
I love when you say that, because I'm like, oh, full permission to do creative things, I'm in.
Because what is so cool about how your brain works, and this is why there's always room, whatever market you're in, it's never too saturated if you're being totally you. Because Samantha is like, she embraces this like inner 12-year-old, and she thinks outside the box in terms of visual branding, wording things, coming up with really cool like swag things for her community and other people's communities. And I also attribute that to why the community you've built is so engaged, because it is unique. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I honestly encourage people and like tap back into that like tween inside you who was just super excited to wear the glitter shoes or who was super excited to like get out the caboodles. And in fact, I was at TJ Maxx today and they have 12 caboodles and I didn't buy them. And I'm going back when we're done after this and I'm going to buy them.
Oh my God. Did you just say the word fucking caboodles? I'm dying. I remember mine and it was like a thing. I mean, that shit came to sleepovers. Like, I had the one that was like half pink on top, half gray on the bottom. What in the hell what was in your caboodle, by the way? I don't remember what I put in mine. Was it makeup?
Oh, super tacky makeup. That was mine. Like super tacky makeup that my mom gave me that was like, the green and the blue and.
Yeah, like the, what is it? Wet and Wild?
Wet and Wild or lip smackers.
Oh,
you gotta have the lip smackers.
Oh my God, I'm dying. I love when all the shit makes a comeback. It's like all this stuff comes back around because it's like, hey, why not bring it back again? Oh my God, I'm dying that I need to see a Girl Squad branded caboodle.
Oh, I could just slap stickers all over it. Yeah,
that's true. And she's also the queen. You guys know I'm obsessed with stickers. And the shit I asked Samantha to do, I'm like, can you make like printable stickers for my Selling with Soul program? She's like, duh.
I was actually going to bed one night and I was like, I just don't know what I'm going to do for her stickers. And I was laying there like in this lucid dream state. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, just remove the background from one of her photos where you've got like Wonder Woman pose and then have her saying, shut the fuck up.
And I was done. And I can tell the difference in your energy when we talk about something like that you love to do versus talking about building websites.
Please don't make me talk about websites.
And that's another key that you guys need to tap in and really check within on what gets you, like Samantha was saying, like what gets you like giddy excited, like, like you're a tween, like what makes you that excited? And then what starts feeling heavy? Now, with that being said, as business owners, business builders, there's all shit in business that's adulty and boring we have to do, right?
Yeah.
What is your kind of take on, have you ever looked at like almost percentage wise, like how much of your business of the stuff you're doing needs to light you up for you to feel happy?
It's really about like 90%, to be honest. And, when I start being like, oh, my whole day was spent doing shitloads of admin work that was so stupid. It's like, okay, like, why am I not utilizing my team more so that I can just sit out here and essentially be the like glitter thrower and come up with the ideas? So, when you're working in business too, that's also a great indicator of like, hey, my time isn't maybe being spent appropriately because you should be working where you're really, really good. And then of course, like, my tax guy's messaging me today and he's like, can you get me the blah, blah, blah? And I was just like, but it just has to be done because you got to pay taxes.
I know. I'm being major hounded. Like I'm up against it and I'm like, okay, Tiffany, like you're going to end up like actually sabotaging yourself if you don't do it. So now I just like have to do it. But of course, not all of this is like glitter, sexy and fun. There's a lot that goes into it. So with that being said, did you just like put together like a cool Girl Squad logo and create a free Facebook page for it and put like some fun content, and in 6 months you had thousands of people?
Sure. No. I'm like, in my manifestation mind, I did. But no, it's been, a lot of work. It's been a lot of trial and error to get to, the amount of people that we're at and then to keep it engaged too. And so, there was times where like I was talking to my best friend and then occasionally my mom still pops in and I'm like, oh, cool. Well, at least my mom's engaged, but it's been a lot of like what works, what doesn't work. And so I've had to just kind of like, do the due diligence. And of course, there are people out there that you can learn from and take pieces from, like great mentors like you even, but like you at the end of the day have to figure out what works. And sometimes you'll like spend like a huge chunk of money or a chunk of time, which is also money, right? And you'll discover that like, hey, none of that worked. And so you have to be like, okay, we're going to shift and we're going to pivot and I'm going to find the thing that lights me up. Or as I like to say, like my personal glitter, right? So what's the glitter that lights me up that I can talk about?
How do you monetize your Girl Squad community. You know, I teach you guys, right? We have to have lead generators, but the lead generators, it can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast now because that's a great lead generator. If you're not super, like Sam said, if you're not super into doing a podcast or a YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever, it's not going to translate anyway if you're just looking at it from a pure business standpoint. So how do you take those free lead generators, your email list, your Girl Squad Facebook page, how do you take those and monetize them? Because this is a business for you. It's not just like some hobby.
It is. So, I've tried a lot of different things. So sometimes it'll be like, offering courses, it'll be offering resources to them. It is making sure that I do mix in there, like, this is my area of expertise. If you need help with it, I will help you. Right. And I am like the expert and I am here to help you. It's all really about increasing your know, like, and trust factor. So the more people know you, the more they like you, the more they trust you, the more they're willing to buy from you. So I know that if I show up super authentic, and then when I'm like, hey guys, I've got this really great Girl Squad event going on, people are really excited to see what it is because they know me, they like me, and they trust me. So that's really my whole monetization plan, is just, doing me, being me, asking myself how I can like cultivate like this amazing like community feel, and then being like, hey, you ready for the next level? Here it is.
I know for all of my Virgo, Enneagram 5 and 6ers, all of you taskers out there are going, okay, but like, how many times a week does Samantha go live? And how many times does she post? And what does she post? Because you want to have this like perfect laid out strategy matrix that works. And I do feel strategy is very important. Don't get me wrong. But strategy alone does not out deliver passion and you being real as fuck. But I still want to know, do you go like, what are the promises you give your group that seems to work? Do you go live every day?
Yeah, so absolutely. So I tried all of that. I tried the going live with the schedule. I tried all the posts. I tried, mimicking other people's like version of like Facebook group success. I tried all of that. But then at the end of the day, so much of it just felt so like pushed and gross for me. And, after doing, I've been working online for 5 years, but after doing it for 5 years, like enough is just fucking enough. And so I really go with the strategy of like, what feels good for me today. If I have something that pops into my brain and I want to share it, I freaking share it. Not because it's Thursday throwback day, but because I genuinely want to share it. So what I do promise my group though, and if you pop in, like you can read like the group guidelines and things like that. And I have studied a lot of other groups who have been really successful. And, I've also just done my own due diligence of what worked and what didn't work. But what I do is I will post like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I will make sure I have some sort of like discussion threads that people know that's coming. So if you wanted to give people even like a discussion thread where they can talk about their own business, that's always a great idea. Or a discussion thread that's just like celebrating the wins or celebrating the failures of the week. Like all of those things are awesome. I do commit to go live like every Monday, but I don't always do it, right? Because it was too stressful. I'm like, sometimes I'm somewhere else, sometimes I'm not feeling the vibe. But I know for me, I'm not one of those people who has to have the schedule. Like I'm going to show up because I want to show up. But if you are one of those people, then you need to commit to like, I do this on these days.
I'm looking at your page right now. So obviously Samantha and I can see each other and you guys can't see us. But if you could, we're both doused in glitter holding caboodles. I'm like, now I'm obsessed with the caboodle thing. Now I was just at TJ Maxx and got a legit haul, by the way. I have a killer TJ Maxx by me. Like there's like, oh my God, fucking killer.
I just went today and they had like no notebooks. I was angry.
You know what? I did notice that is like, are they transitioning out of notebooks and putting those more into Home Goods? Because Home Goods has a legit notebook section.
Well, mine is like a TJ Maxx, like smushed with a Home Goods, and there was like no notebooks.
That's unacceptable.
For a second.
Yeah,
right.
That's like my go-to. You guys are like, what? Shut up. You guys all love TJ Maxx. I know it. So I'm looking at your group. First off, I keep saying Girl Squad, but your group name is Girl Crush Alliance, right?
It is, because I'm all about helping women realize that they're their own girl crush. So if you can start looking at what you're doing instead of what everyone else is doing and just be like, damn, look at all this cool shit I'm creating.
So I see what I see what you mean by what you're doing. Like you have conversation starters. So like today she has, what is your favorite motivational quote and why? And has a conversation starter because in my opinion, and this is why I believe I'm so successful on Instagram and can, making between 8 to 10,000 a week in Instagram alone is because I give you guys permission to where it's safe to DM me and it's safe to ask me any questions. Nothing is stupid. I encourage it. I tell you guys to, and then I do my part and show up. And I feel like that's what you're doing here is you're giving people permission by asking them a question. And then you're not just like now disappearing. You actually will go and comment back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you want to make sure that everything you put up is really, really, really fucking on point with your branding. Like it needs to be like, boom, I know where that post is as I'm scrolling through and you stop your scroll and you're like, oh, that's the group I'm in. And you want to be a part of that.
So when you say that, are you talking like visual branding?
Yes, absolutely.
So help the people understand because you are fantastic at this. And I think when people hear visual branding, they think colors. And they think maybe logo and maybe like pictures of themselves.
Which is all good. But you really do need like posts that stand out and are just for your group. So, you want them to have like a punch that feels like, the Girl Crush Alliance, and visual branding really is about like nailing that. So, you're always using the same colors. You're always using the same feel. It's mostly about the feel that people get when they look at your stuff versus like, does it fit into my branding box? So you want to make sure that has the same feel. You're using the same fonts, you're using the same tone of voice. And if you are pulling stock photos that they feel like your brand. But a lot of times I've just built up my own little stock photo library and not everyone has. It took me a long time to get here, but I have like a stock photo library of myself. And I mean, you've seen it. Like I have glitter baths, I have Girl Squad jackets, I have like all this crazy stuff, but it took me a while to get there. And before I was there, I would look at stock photos and I'd be like, okay, does this feel like my group? And if you'll remember, Tiffany, and maybe if anyone's listening from the badassery days, we would always use those women with like the punk, like hot pink hair and stuff, just so it was super catchy and people could just pick up on it really quick.
So I also notice in your group that you feature and celebrate the people who are participating the most in the group.
Okay, this is super fun. And I actually wrote this down to talk about when we were talking like before the show, I will offer like little prizes to my top engagers, and Facebook groups give you like super awesome insights. You can see who comments the most, who participates the most, and you can even kind of just like check out the feel of the stalkers even. And so I will give a prize out to the top engager every week. And it's not even crazy, you guys. I've bought these really, really freaking funny cards on Amazon, like a big pack. I write a nice little note in them and I put some stickers in and I mail them to them.
It's not like you're doing a really nice coffee mug and now you have to get a box and package it and now it's $15 in shipping.
Yeah, so it's just really super inexpensive, but has like a touch of like, I give a shit, because I do. And it's so fun to like write the notes and send them out.
I love this idea. And here's the, is it intangible or untangible? I don't give a shit. But if you want to tell me what it is, it'd be good to know. I'm sure someone will let me know in the DMs with my fun words and grammar. Okay. So when you do things like that, those little extras, you know how we always say like, it's the little things that make us happy. It's the little things in business. But no matter if, Sam or myself laid out exactly, what she did to create this, community over time. If you guys don't infuse yourselves and genuinely love it and genuinely love building it and being in it, I don't think it will translate. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, like you're absolutely spot on. Like you have to enjoy doing it. So if you hate putting like snail mail out into the world, like don't freaking do that, right? You have to do whatever feels good to you. Maybe you're just like shooting them a PM in Facebook and you're like, hey, thanks for being a badass and hanging out in my group. Like even something like that goes such a long ways.
I love snail mail, by the way. It's a lost art. First off, I really love getting checks in the mail, but That's also a lost art. It's like, someone send me a damn check. But I just got something from inside my Posse membership. One of the members, because I recently lost my fur baby Molly, and I can be really lazy about going to my PO box to pick up the stuff. And it was so sweet, and it wasn't anything big, but she sent me, because I love stickers. She sent me these stickers that were totally me. It was like all of my it's like whoever made it was Happy Planner stickers, but the pack was like my exact wording. Like there's even a sticker that says 0 fucks.
That's
like
awesome.
I know exactly. I mean, they have an asterisk instead of the C or whatever because it's sold at Michael's. But it was like something that small and so genuine. It made my entire freaking day. And if you really love your community, you're going to want to do things like that and not just go, oh, I'm going to send that, DM or that Facebook message because, I want to build my business. I feel that people can sense if the energy is genuine or you're just trying to build a business.
Yeah. So if you focus on the entire community and not just the people that you think might pay you, you'll have a massive shift, right? Because it takes the entire community for people to join your courses, join your things. But if we're so fixated on oh, that person's never bought from me, then that's the result you're going to get. Some people might follow you for years and years before they're like, hey, I'm in a space and I'm ready to pick up what you're throwing down.
So true. Did you guys know that a majority of the people who apply for my private coaching, either one are referrals or two are people who I have never, their Instagram name, their Facebook name does not ring a bell, meaning they're not in that, so to speak, raving fan list, but they've been following, watching, and observing for a long time. So you have to remember, even inside Instagram or your Facebook group, even if people aren't yet engaging, I mean, some people are really shy, or don't know what to say, or they're just lazy and don't feel like typing something. That doesn't mean they aren't watching your shit.
Oh, they're always watching. It's so incredible when I meet women in person and they come up to me and they're like, hi, Sam. And they start telling me about a story that I told about my life. And they're like, oh my God, I was reading that in my bathroom at 2 a.m. and was like, she's so amazing. She just changed my life. And I'm like, who are you? So you guys have no idea the impact you're making because it's spread so much further than you can even imagine.
I love that. That makes me want to cry. You guys really have to check out her Facebook group. Now, don't be like, oh, I'm on Girl Crush Alliance and she has just under 4,000 members. I thought you were talking about some 100,000 member group. Well, you don't have to have some crazy ass number of people. I mean, this is a lot of people. That's a lot of human beings, but you don't have to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a Facebook group master. I don't have one. My only group is, paid group. Do you have to have a certain number of people for anything to really happen in it?
Oh, hell no. The more people you get, the lower your engagement is. I was making 5-figure months, so at least over 10,000 strictly out of my Facebook group when my group was under 1,000 people.
Wow. And that is true also for Instagram, you guys. The larger you get, your engagement rate drops, which is, so don't be focused on the size. It's the people. Now, there are listeners out there, because I have a lot, I know you guys care, or you wouldn't be attracted to this show, that have put out and created Facebook groups and truly have done all the things we've talked about today, or feel they've done them, and it's just not growing. Is there something they're likely doing wrong, or does this shit just take time?
It's patience. The best thing you can do is be patient. Everything has a season, right? So you might go through a period where people are joining, and all of a sudden people might not join for a while. You might feel like you're talking to the same people over and over and over again, but just keep showing up because something will click and something will change, right? Maybe, a new opportunity will appear. Maybe you're on a big podcast all of a sudden and it grows again, right? But it's if you haven't been paying attention to it, it's not going to do anything. So patience is the key. And, it's easy for me to even get like beat up on my numbers. Like I was giving myself some shit like for not having over 10,000 Instagram members on my personal, the Samantha Parker account. And I was like, oh, like I don't even have the swipe up. Like I'm not even cool enough to like hang out in the Instagram world. But I realized, last year 2,000 people were following me, and now this year there's like 7,000 people.
Wow.
I was like, that's 5,000 fucking people. Like if you put them, like line them up on my street, could you even imagine how many people that is? It's crazy.
Yeah, we have to start visualizing that. I like that because I get a lot of people, and I know you do too. They're like, well, how am I gonna, make a business? I only have, 430 followers. First of all, when I get married someday, I don't even know 430 people to attend like a wedding. Like that still
would be a
big
huge wedding,
right? Wouldn't it? It'd be like $1 million wedding or some shit. Well, of course, because I would it'd have to have all the things. But it's like, you guys, that's a lot of freaking people. And if we're focusing just on it's not enough, I want more, and not nurturing what we currently have, that's kind of gross energy, isn't it?
It is. And I realized I was kind of putting that out. I was like, oh, it's not enough. There's not enough. There's not enough people on my list. There's not enough, blah, blah, blah. My open rate isn't high enough. I mean, all the things you say, but I'm like, that's insane. Like 500 people opened that and read it. And like 5 of them actually hit reply and responded. Like, what? Like, who does that? So you just have to like look at like the little wins and seriously like imagine it. Like, even if like you're brand new, you're just starting out, even if you put 20 people in this office right here, we would be like, oh my God, we're all touching. Right?
Yeah, that'd be definitely tight and weird. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I love the email list, like the open rate example, because I've shared many times on this show, like something I would have done differently, going back 12 years is I would imagine if I started an email list 12 years ago. First off, we would have had to have scrubbed it because I was a different person, but I would have had way more emails. I don't know where we're at. I think it's still 700, maybe.
No, and you're almost at 1,000.
Am I?
Yeah.
Winning. So that's something that, I hired Samantha and her team to help me with, because I knew I needed to do, have an email list. But if it wasn't done in a way that got me excited, I knew it wasn't going to translate. I'd get unsubscribes. No one would open it. And so, she helped me, with her creative genius, come up with a way where it felt really good to me. And that's why it's like my secret posse, right? Where there's cool stuff in there that you're not going to get anywhere else. And then she glitterizes it. We put like fun gifts. So at the very least, even if you don't read it, you're going to get a little bit of a laugh, right?
Yeah, but also people, like, you're cultivating a community just through an email. So like, think about that too, you guys who are listening. Like, you don't have to have a giant Facebook group, right? Like, you're cultivating a cute little community. And I don't mean that cute in a bad way, but like a very nurtured, engaged community right in an email.
Yeah. And here's what I look at winning. Cause like I really am not someone who loves looking at the numbers. I didn't even know we were at near 1,000. So that's like a big win. That's why I don't look. I'm not saying you shouldn't know your numbers, but let the people, and I hate when people are like, let the people on your team, and you guys are like, bitch, I'm running this thing solo. Mm-hmm. But whether you have people that, are on your team, I let them tell me, and I don't want to know like every week. For example, with my podcast, I still only want to know quarterly numbers. Or if there's something like a big major win, I compare it to weighing yourself every day. Like that's some shit I used to do when I was in the throes of my eating disorder. It's like a woman can go up like 7 pounds in a day.
Oh, definitely. And then you just kind of bleed it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy
Literally.
what your body does. Yeah.
So, I mean, is that something you practice too? Like when you start getting kind of fixated, like, okay, a couple months have passed and my group really has only grown by 3 people. Do you start tripping? Like, how do you manage your mindset around that?
You definitely have to manage your mindset a ton. So don't look at the people who unsubscribe from your email list. I learned that early on when I was seeing like my good friends who I thought were my cheerleaders unsubscribing from my emails because they were annoying. I was like, screw you guys. Like don't look at who's unsubscribing you. Don't look at who's unfollowing you on Instagram. People get fixated because they'll get a bunch of followers and unfollowing, that like whole little tactic people do. And I'm like, who cares? I'm like, just don't pay attention to it at all. But again, you have to get to a great place of self-worth, and you have to realize that like, hey, what I'm doing is badass. And, the people who need to be in my space, they'll show up. So a lot of times I think of myself as like a lighthouse, and I'm just here to shine. And I'm like, hey, there's some crazy rocks over there. Don't hit them. You can choose to pay attention or not, right? But I'll just keep shining. And, if you want to throw rocks at me occasionally, that's okay too. But like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I've had like a boulder thrown at me recently, and I'll be straight up. I mean, it shook me for a couple days. It was by someone who I had respect for, I guess that's the way to say it, online, and it was by a female, and it shook me. But because there's communities out there like yours, Sam, it just helped me feel less alone in it. And it reminded me, and I've been in business a long time. It doesn't matter how much you have in the bank. You're going to have things that rock your world. And we can't do this alone. We're not meant to. Like, we need the support. And sometimes it's as simple as like, I'm in Facebook or I'm in my emails and I see, one of Samantha's emails come through for her email list. And sometimes it's just how she titles her emails. It just brings a smile to my face. And it reminds me like, this shit isn't that serious, people.
Yeah, that's honestly one of my top tips is like, quit taking shit so serious. Like, don't nitpick everything apart. Just put it out into the world. Like, have a little more fun. And who cares if there was a typo?
Oh, God. Exactly. And now with my corporate clients, I understand like it's much more strict and there's multiple layers of proofreaders. So if you're working with corporate clients, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, obviously it depends on your specialty. But in this kind of a personal branding space, listen, there are errors and typos and full miscredits and lack of credits every fucking day in every single newspaper. That's why there is a retraction section. So I want to remind you guys of that. There is a retraction section in every publication, including magazines like Glamour Magazine, Red Book, those things. And they have tons and tons of proofreaders and fact checkers, and things still happen. So it's okay. Like, no one gives a shit. And if they do, they're annoying.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. That's interesting. That's cool.
I like reminding people of that because it's like these big publications. How many of you guys have read a book that's had a typo? I have. You know how many eyes have looked at these books that go through big publishers? I mean, I'm sure 15, 25, if not more people, and they still miss something.
Exactly.
And then there's always that asshole. I'm sure there's a lot of assholes, depending how many readers that like take the time to write in. Like, there was not a comma here. It should have been a semicolon.
I've gotten those emails where they're like, you really should have a proofreader like go through and read this. And then they're like, and by the way, that's what I do.
Oh my God, dying. Yeah, that's not, I don't recommend that sales pitch. I do want to ask on your visual branding for Girl Squad and Girl Crush Alliance, how you were explaining to people like it's a little cliche, but I love things that rhyme, but your vibe does attract your tribe. It really does. And you're great at having your graphics instead of just posting, for example, like, what's your favorite motivational quote? Like actually just putting it in text or using one of like Facebook's like backgrounds that they give.
Yeah.
You actually take the time to make a graphic that's on brand and put it in there. Where do you make those graphics for all the people listening who are not, tech savvy or graphic designers? How can they do some of that for their own brands?
Canva. If it can't be done in Canva, I don't want to do it. Like, Canva is so easy, but even if you're not like on Canva, there's apps like WordSwag. WordSwag is so great. Like, just take the time to type it up in WordSwag so that you're always using like the same font and the same colors. like that helps a ton. So just use the easy tools. Canva has gotten so big though. It's super affordable. They have so many templates built into it. And there are so many tutorials on Canva that like, if you're like, I can't figure it out, it's because you've made that excuse in your head.
Yeah. I mean, we use Canva Pro and I would notice it if it was expensive because I do.
No, it's like $14.99.
Yeah, it is something I watch in my business. Like, because you start adding up all those platforms, it can get crazy. And I would say this, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, that you could take one day or one afternoon and create 7, branded templates that you then insert, a different photo or
That's
different
exactly
thing
what I'm
in
doing.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh my God, I have to make the most epic graphic every single day.
No. And then if you're even more stuck, the creative market is like a place that I love. If you're like, hey, I just want Canva templates that are already made for me that aren't the ones in Canva, creativemarket.com. Like you just go over, you pay like $15 and you'll get like this whole Canva template file too.
Hello. We love when there's easy things like that. So don't use that as an excuse because there are so many tutorials and there's resources like Samantha and myself out there that you can actually ask. So go inside her group, Girl Crush Alliance, or you can also DM her on Instagram at the Samantha Parker and say, hey, what is it? Where do you go for those templates again? Or, what is it you recommend for this? I mean, don't pick her brain because we don't do that shit. Okay. But you have people you can ask. Don't tell yourself you're stuck or I'm not good at tech, so I can't do it. It's like, there's always a way.
Exactly. I love chatting with people too, but be careful if you send me like a message, I might send you a video back. And who knows what I'll be doing.
When people are on my team, I always have to like give the like disclaimer at first, like, just so you know, when you're on my team, we're gonna end up using Marco's, and I could be doing a multitude of things. Like I could be in the bath and Marco you, like it's
Yes.
just I could be ice rolling my face. Like there's lots of things that are going on.
I think the one time you're like, there was a nip slip, and I'm like, I don't even know.
I'm like, yeah, I might have shown you my nipple, and you know what? We'll be fine. We'll be fine. You have them too. So you guys gotta like not see how light we're being, because this is fun. We're talking about fun stuff. We're not like opening up people's skulls and doing, brain surgery here. Like fun and light, like the world's like way too heavy and serious right now. So how can you also lighten up and infuse that like preteen, teen into your business and branding? So let me ask you this, Sam, for people who are in a more like serious, as you could say, profession, maybe they're an accountant, they're a lawyer, they're a therapist, they're a chiropractor, I don't know. And it seems like, well, how can I like make that serious, make that fun? Won't I lose credibility?
Absolutely not. I was just at the doctor's office with my daughter this morning and they're super backed up, because we did the Instacare walk-in, and the doctor walks in and he goes, hello to my daughter. And he's like, I see you brought your younger sister. And I'm like, what? Like the physician just cracked a joke as he walked in the room, and he was just trying to lighten the mood, And so you guys, like everyone enjoys humor. Everyone enjoys those things. So even if it's super serious, like the profession you're in, like even lawyers make jokes, like even judges make jokes, right? Like, so it's okay to have a little fun and not take yourself so seriously. So I feel like if you're like, I have to be serious, you've decided that for yourself.
And that's also right. That's a belief that I would go back to. What's the question I always tell you guys? Is that absolutely true with 100% certainty for a fact for now and forever that you have to be serious in order for people to like really respect you and take you seriously?
You don't.
No. In fact, that's how you end up cracking that like intimacy barrier. It makes you feel like you can talk to that professional and we're the same. I mean, we all poo, right? I mean, it's really not that. Come on. We all do celery juice. By the way, celery juice isn't working for me anymore. It's very annoying.
It's nasty. Just don't even drink that shit.
It's nasty. Well, but I was like, I had to see what was up with it because everyone's drinking it. They're taking the time to like put that shit through some expensive machine and then clean it. I was like, what's going to happen to me if I do it? Like, I mean, it did make me poo, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm like anti-celery juice. And I'll probably get some comments that are like, oh my God, celery juice changed my life. And I'm like, oh, I can't even stand the smell of it. But that's just me. So again, like you do you, I sit over here and do me.
I love you. So where can the people get more of Samantha Parker?
Yeah, so I'd love it if you came and hung. I would love it if you came and hung out in our Facebook group, the Girl Crush Alliance. And you can also find me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. I love stories and I love chatting and engaging with people. And my Instagram is the Samantha Parker. My website is thesamanthaparker.com, which actually takes you over to the Girl Squad series. So, just come hang out.
Now, you also are doing actual like live in-person events, right?
Fuck yeah, I am. I love it.
She's really good at it, by the way. Like I'm so amazed that you don't. But for those of you who want to do in-person events, stop telling yourself the lie that you need to have like a crap ton of followers in order to get people to show up at your events. Because even when your audience was at like 2,000, you still fill a room.
Yeah, you went to one of our events in LA and
it was packed. And it wasn't like in a 10 by 10 room. I mean, it wasn't like a ballroom either, but it wasn't some like, oh, it was packed and it was like a 10 by 10 room. It was legit packed and they were all like people you would want at your event.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love to attract the people that like I want there. And I'm like very specific in my intentions. Like, who am I creating this for? Who are the type of women that are going to show up? And I notice that if like women are showing up that are maybe like a little bitchy or like, kind of off the vibe, I'm like, oh, okay, there's something in my messaging or there's something in like my self-worth that I'm putting out. And then I need to shift that. So it's really just about like showing up, having fun, being you. But yeah, so we're doing our first Girl Squad sleepover here where I live in Southern Utah. And then I'm going to be it'll be my 5th retreat and it'll be in Las Vegas in May.
Oh my God. I want to come speak at one of your events. Do you have speakers or no?
Done. I'm looking for some. Absolutely.
Done. Happening. I mean, you say sleep. I'm going to bring my caboodle. I'm not joking.
Okay. Well, I could just give you one.
Oh my God. I'll be like, let's talk. And then there'll be like a whole group of people like, what's a fucking caboodle? I'm like, let me show you.
They're making a comeback. You can customize them even.
Do you think Trapper Keepers are going to come back? Or have they already made the rounds?
I haven't seen them.
Like, were you a Trapper Keeper girl or not down?
And Lisa Frank,
Lisa Frank. Oh my God. And your branding actually like is on vibe with hers. And that's a great example for those of you who, whether you remember Lisa Frank or not, I actually want you to Google it because that's a perfect example of what Samantha teaches. When it's Lisa Frank stuff, even though it's not as like popular as it once was, I could have a half a second glance and I would know it's Lisa Frank, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Like just like the corner of the sticker sheet and you'd be like, Lisa Frank.
Very, very smart. So I do have to touch on this because I know I'm going to get a lot of shit if I don't. So a lot of people want to have these in-person events, retreats, whatever it is, and they're afraid to have them because it's like, what if no one buys the ticket and no one comes and I've spent money on the space or whatever? How do you kind of help ensure? Are there any like tips you can help ensure that you get people to buy tickets and attend?
Sometimes people don't buy tickets and that is a reality. Like I've had events that no one showed up to, even though there was several ticket holders, and then it was funny because the next event we had 100 people at it. So, really the tips and tricks is to make sure that you continuously talk about that event. Like you need to be talking about it everywhere possible. This goes for your Facebook group too, if you're trying to grow it, right? You need to be talking about this shit everywhere. You need to be telling people in person. You need to be messaging people that you know locally. You need to be connecting with influencers that like maybe you could borrow some of their audience. And, that's like a whole nother topic, but you want to make sure you offer something to them in return, but you have to like do the due diligence. You have to be on Instagram, like messaging people. You have to be on Facebook. You have to post about it. You have to, maybe even run some targeted local ads. Like all of those things really contribute. You have to just like sit down. You know, a lot of times I sit down in my closet when I'm like, I got to get this shit out. And like, you got to sit down and like, just be like, hey, this event's happening. Hey, this event's happening. Hey, this event's happening. Because nothing pisses me off more than when I get a message from someone and they're like, hey, I didn't know you had that event. It looks so cool. I wish I would have known. And I'm like, damn it, I didn't do my job. Right.
And the thing is, you might still get those. I mean, I've had people now that are like, oh my God, someone told me about selling with soul and I went to the page and now the cart's closed. And it's like, I know my side of the street is clean. I shared that there was nothing left in me to share. Right. So I know I just didn't dip my toe in and then retreat. Like, as long as you know you have shared whatever it is, your Facebook group, your event, your podcast, your email list, and you've shared it so much that there was probably not much more you could have energetically even shared, and you utilized all the resources and all the things that you were aware of at that given time, then, that's all you can do. And if 5 people show up, our egos don't like that. I mean, I'm sure your ego didn't like that.
No, it didn't.
I mean, that's not fun.
No, it's not. Especially when you have speakers there and you're like, I promised there were ticket sales. Ha, super embarrassing.
Because some people buy tickets and then also don't show up.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people show up and want to buy them at the door. So it's kind of, just like, you just got to like hold the space and make sure you put it out there. But then too, if someone doesn't show up to your first event or maybe your 7th event, like maybe you had some success in between and maybe it drops, keep showing up, because it's just in the timing, it's in the alignment, it's in, maybe your passion behind it. And eventually something will click and you'll be like, oh my God, this is where I'm meant to be.
So I asked her about the events. So they can find out about the Girl Squad sleepover and all that stuff by either going to your Instagram at the Samantha Parker, or by going to Girl Crush Alliance, the Facebook page, or her website. Believe me, she's going to be sharing it everywhere, and I'll end up sharing it too. Especially, I'll let you guys know which one I'm speaking at or hanging out at or having a pillow fight at. That sounds sexual, but you know what I mean.
I'm all, a pillow fight. My next event.
That'd be like, can you imagine that Facebook ad? There's like you and me like having a pillow fight and like giggling. And
oh my gosh, I'm going to call my brand photographer after this. I'm writing it down and I'm like, we need to do a pillow fight.
We're like
shoot.
Smacking the pillows and like glitters like coming out.
Oh my God, I'm in.
I'm loving all of it. So you guys love this episode, love the vibe, love what you learned from Samantha and myself today. I want you to take a screenshot right now and share it on Instagram and tag me and Samantha. I'm at ProjectME with Tiffany. Samantha's at the Samantha Parker. Let us know you love this episode by doing that, and then share the love. Share it with someone who is struggling in their business or to grow their community, or they're wanting to have, in-person events and they're not sure where to start. This is how you can be of service to other people, is also by sharing great sources of knowledge. So take that screenshot, tag both of us. If you're multitasking and you just tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany, I will reshare in stories and make sure Samantha gets tagged. So don't be tripping about it. Thank you so much for coming on and just being your glittery self.
Thanks. I'm just here to spread a little more love and happiness with the world.
Well, you do a beautiful job, and I'm so appreciative of everything you do for me and how you show up in the world.
Thank you.
Bye, girl. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.